Okay.
Thank you.
Right. This is the spreadsheet that I'm looking at. I've got all these notes from the emails that we had coming to and from. So basically, they are for these pack items. We have composite items, buy items, and the components itself. So I got this information from the URL, the Confluence page, and the comments based on this are from emails that run to and between myself and Vijay and Julie and Sanjay's investigation and all that. So we have an inventory. All component items has got a inventory tab or CMP. Is that correct? Or is there anything else that I need to consider?
All the composite ones have a CMP. So that's, yeah, the CMPs for composite. Yeah, not component.
Not component, right? This composite item
Yeah.
is not component. And it's the parent, right?
Yes.
Goes to the
Yes.
parent.
Correct.
Right. So every of these composite items would have components attached to it.
Right? It should have, but I was trying to find some examples before, just to bring up one that did have children, but I found some without children.
Okay.
But whether they just haven't, their setting up hasn't been completed, I don't know.
So just take a note on that one. Okay. So if we find issues like this, should we give you the list or should we just exclude it from the migration?
I mean, as far as composites go, TUI doesn't do much with them, and they they don't really care. It doesn't really care, but these do go across to the POS, and I'm not sure if the POS is filtering out those ones or it allows them to be sold or not. Because that's who uses these CMPs.
Right. So are we saying that the composite items, the parent level is not always saleable?
Well, so what you're actually showing there is a finished product. So yeah, I found composites that have been set up. So composite and finished products are different things. That didn't have children, but I don't know what the POS does with those and whether it matters from an Oracle perspective. I can't answer that question.
But if we have the composite items, would they have in TUI, would they have quantity on hand?
No, composites and TUI can't hold stock on hand. They're only used for selling, and when they're sold, the store system converts that. So if they sell a composite that's got 4 items, there's POS, separate POS, which is external to TUI. They convert that into 4 individual sales and send it to TUI. So within TUI, they're just really a way of grouping those items that are being sold together, and we send them to the data warehouse, and somehow the data warehouse pass it on to the point of sale. So we never buy these or actually hold stock or ever receive a sale for them. We just store the structure that's then used by the point of sale system.
Okay, so composite items do not have.
So just now that I've talked that through, I mean, if the POS is going to continue to do the same as what it did before, does Oracle need to worry about them because the sale will be coming for, say, the 4 components?
Mark, can you answer that?
Well, because we need the inventory, we need to track inventory of the component items and pack items. So not talking about composite items at all. It's just I understand the concept where in TUI you don't track stock on hand, but because in retail we'll need to track the stock on
Oh,
hand.
you want to track the sale.
We also and also when we process sales, it's when we process sales that we adjust the stock on hand, right? So,
But TUI doesn't have any stock on hand for these.
mhm.
But I mean, if they don't have to reconcile to what TUI's got, I don't suppose it matters as far as the composite goes.
So
But when TUI
Julie,
processes, go ahead, Pinod.
sorry, a question. So, is there any other transactions which involves this composite item? Like how is there a process like a work order or something where the composite items are built in the store?
It must be external to TUI. I mean, someone
Okay.
creates the product in TUI as a composite.
So,
But I don't know about their business process.
okay, so there is no visibility within TUI on how many say how many such items are available for a specific store, right? It's just that the item master record is there.
Yeah, yeah. All our
Okay.
stock is tracked at component level.
Okay,
And they're standalone products that can be sold in their own right.
so
So the
then,
most,
okay, so what this master data is going to do, like, are you sending this data somewhere, like in any other systems, this composite item data?
TUI sends it to the Max Data warehouse, and that's the
Okay,
last we know about it. You'd have to ask the Max team.
okay, okay. So the process of building the composite as well is outside TUI. The TUI does not have visibility. Okay, then I think in that case, I'm not sure if TUI is not maintaining, that's where we are going to get all the transactions from, right?
Yes.
So what Oracle Retail is going to do with this item then? Because based on what Julie said, when the point of sale sends us the RT log file, it will have the component items, and there are no transactions which are done at this item level.
So I think
Unless there's going to be another change so that Oracle knows, because I've heard people say in the past, they don't really know how many composites they've sold. So whether there's other change requests that you guys would be aware of that probably.
Okay.
Just the composite item itself has a cost. Because is there the roll up
It's
from the
it's a
component?
combined, isn't it? I guess it's adding all the different component values and then adding them together, I guess. Isn't that how I see
Yes.
it? What about then the retail? Like, say if I'd say the example in the screenshot, there's 2 items, because you've still got to then work out what the retail price is for the
Yeah.
polo shirt and the embroidery combined, or if it's like a series of products. I guess, like you say, that information would have to go down to the point of sale to then be able to calculate the price that they sell them for, and then
Yeah.
I don't know how they then get attributed back. Is it proportional, or there'll be some sort of calculations that happen around who wears the cost, or is it proportionate? I think there's a whole lot of other questions there.
That example I sent you is probably confusing because that's actually a finished product, which is an enhanced one. So
Yeah.
I've sent one in the chat that's actually a proper composite one. So, I mean, they do look very similar, or I mean, they probably look the same, but as for where the price comes from,
Because there's that retail price at the bottom of $4.60 in that screenshot.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not
So,
sure, yeah, where that flow, yeah, how that flows back.
mm, the retail price would be set by the user who created the
Mhm.
product, which might be externally to TUI, the OCT system,
Yeah,
or
or
it can be set by
PPP. Yeah.
PPP.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So who can make a decision as where we can itemize the parent, the composite item itself? I mean, we, if it is not tracked in two-way, but it's required in ORI, so how are we going to migrate this composite item? We can't really put a quantity 0, can we? Because the composite items can be sold on its own, so we need a quantity. So the components itself can be sold on its own. Who can we go to sort of make a decision on how we can handle this situation?
I probably need some, I mean, that sounds, that's more across the point of sale side of things, just to make sure that, yeah, I definitely don't know.
Would Brendan help?
Yeah,
with that?
probably Brendan might be able to help.
So Brenda, what we want to do is probably capture these kind of decision items and loop in Brenda and Kylie as product owner from retail. So Julie, the one that you've shared is a print and copy example, right? So is that the only example for composites, or do you have like a
I could,
complex pack?
that's the only one I've got at the moment. I'd have to
Okay.
run more queries to find some more examples. I was hoping to find a stationery pack for like back to school, which is sort of the example that was used when these were created. So the schools let them know sort of what particular classrooms need for their pack of different combinations of books and pads and things like that, and they make them up. So they're easy for the school kids to come in and buy. Yeah, that would probably be a worthwhile example to try and find to look at, because that's different to like these are the one I've sent you is for, as you say, it's a stationery or a printing service one.
Yeah, I think we discussed about the print and service one. I need to check what all solution option that we confirmed. But yeah, I'm curious to see if there are other composite items and how we are going to handle those.
So can we pop this and have a meeting with Brendan and Carly on this, Vinod? Or would you like to take it and pursue this with Brendan and Carly?
I mean, for print and copy, I can check with, I just need to check with Archana what was being captured. I'll just dig my emails. But yeah, if there are other composite items and then how we need to handle that, yeah, we need to discuss that.
So can you get back to us on this? Because I think this is more for your future functionality of ORI.
Print and copy, yes, I can check. Yeah,
Okay.
what was being agreed.
Okay.
So I don't know if these ones are in MDM or not. I'm just sort of wondering the skew on this particular one. I'm just curious as to whether that was in the MDM product file that they gave you, the items.
I thought Lou mentioned that they still can't have the pack items in MDM, so I think that was an open item.
So that applies both to composite and BiPACs. I had heard that BiPACs weren't an NDM, but
Yep.
I wasn't sure about composites, but yeah, probably makes sense if it's both.
So we're saying that the composite items can be found it's also in MDM.
So it's not yet.
Yeah. Right. This is definitely not an MDM.
Because I suppose that comes back to you requiring the items from us, that from TUI.
Yes.
Yes. Not in
Which is-
MDM. Okay. What about BiPACs?
So the BiPACs are, as you say, with they're for purchasing only, and we explode them into components when they get receipted into the stores or non-DC branches. So a DC can hold BiPAC stock on hand and they can dispatch BiPAC products. But when it's receipted into the store, TUI explodes it into the components.
So for the BiPACs, when you deliver, you store it as is. And when we have a quantity, the stock on hand quantity on the BiPACs itself, or the quantity on hand is again on the component level.
It depends on the location. So if it's a DC, it's the BiPAC itself has stock on hand. And the components can actually be stocked individually as well. So they can, a component can be a standalone product and purchased independently. And we've actually sometimes had purchase orders that have a component as a normal order line and within a BiPAC.
So the BiPACs are received in DC. They can either store it and track it as the BiPACs itself. They
Yes.
can disassemble the BiPAC and store it as individual components.
Yes.
So that means if so over here, I will assume that the BiPAC has got its own SKU and it's got a quantity on hand. And if they disassemble it, the quantity on hand will be at a component level. So there's no double counting.
Yes, correct. So if I send you an example of a BiPAC product details. So the first screenshot that I've just sent is the actual how they define what's in it, which looks similar to the earlier one, but it's in a completely different structure for us, so we keep them quite separate.
All right. Okay. So this one is actually not an issue. Is this BiPACs in MDM as well?
I don't think so. I don't believe BiPACs are an MDM.
No BiPACs are.
Okay.
Yeah, so the BiPACs will need to come from TUI for conversion.
The components are, isn't it, in MDM?
The components are, yes, in MDM.
Yes.
So therefore, BiPACs both have quantity on hand and will have the cost component.
Yes. And the cost is always the sum of the components. It doesn't.
You don't have any other components like a packaging-ish cost and all that?
No. It's, yeah, I mean, the warehouse group could maybe choose to create a packaging component, but no, there's nothing on top of that. They're quite basic.
All right. Let's see. The components. So with these components, we will have the bypass hierarchy of components and a composite item hierarchy of components. Well, we have
Yep.
all this information.
We could put that, like from a data migration point of view, we can create one file that has the bypacks and the composite
Mhm.
children in it, because they can only be one or the other. They can't be both.
Okay.
Yeah, so we could put that child data in the one file.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's one more type of pack, which is the finished products, which I think Oracle might call like something that's enhanced. So, which is like what you've got in that screenshot that I sent you was for a finished product. And that's where they send out the components to someone else and they manufacture them into another product and send them back. So TUI has that structure purely to help, like if a customer comes in and we want some school uniforms with these logos and these sizes, then we transfer out the stock that's needed to a dummy branch. That's the enhancers branch. And they turn it into the finished product, which is going to a different barcode again, because it's now a school uniform t-shirt with a logo. And that's the product that gets transferred back into the warehouse, into a warehouse branch, and we write off the components. So its existence is all about managing that business process of the components going out to the enhancer and coming back as something else. So it's about managing that. So if TUI didn't know about these, then TUI would be just sending inventory adjustments and transfer dispatches and receipts for, you know, the components, and then we would adjust in the finished product. So whether they need to know what these are, because they can all be sold independent, you know, they're all selling items in their own right, except for the logo.
So if you send a polo t-shirt out with a SKU number 1, 2, 3, when you receive back the polo t-shirt, do you still call it 1, 2, 3 or 4, 5, 6?
No, we call it 4, 5, 6, and we write off the 1, 2, 3 unit.
Okay.
So Julie, just a question, I mean, not related to conversion. So in these cases, via integration, Oracle Retail will get inventory adjustments, right, to decrement, increment when you do the
Yes.
conversion process? Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
cool.
So there'll be all, yeah, and we do all the inventory movements, and they'll come across in one of the existing producers.
So, Julie, when you see write-off, so when we look at the extract quantity on hand, you write off from the stock on hand quantity, or write it off from a reservation, or
Stock on hand quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually take, when we send the goods out to the enhancer, we have a dummy branch. They're usually all in the 900 sequence. So within the warehouse group, it still shows as in their stock on hand, but for a branch that might be it'll be the company name of the person who's doing the work. And so it's still in a TUI branch, but not one where it can be sold from. So yeah, and then so we write it off from that dummy branch once they've sent us back the finished goods.
hold on.
It's a reasonably complex process.
Yeah. This dummy branch items are not orderable, right?
Yeah, I think the online store note would ignore any stock in those branches. Yeah, they
Okay.
don't make it visible. Like if they're trying to see how many have we got we can sell, I believe they don't include these ones.
Do we have to track where these individual items suppliers, these items go to this supplier? Do we have information like?
TUI has production orders, which are completely separate to purchase and transfer orders, completely separate entity that we use to track the progress of these.
Maya, do we need such an information, or can we? Are these information of these items going to whichever supplier for enhancement? Do we need this kind of information for the data migration?
There will be transfers out there for the ones that are still in progress. There'll be transfer orders between the DC and the enhancer branch, the dummy branch. But from your perspective, there's probably nothing special about those.
Yeah.
When it comes to available to sell, you probably need to know not to include those dummy branches.
So, question, Julie. So when you say these dummy branches, so these are the place where this work order happens, is it? And then
Yes.
TUI creates a transfer and then it goes out from the store and then it is again coming. So is that dummy branch like a normal location in TUI
Yeah.
system?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you
Okay.
have the number of the dummy branch?
Yeah, we need to check if how this location has been configured. So we have something called finisher, but I'm not sure if we are using that functionality here. But yeah.
So if I look, so we have the enhancer as a supplier as well. So if I bring up A4, oh no, it's not the right one. Looking at the BiPAC, sorry. What's the barcode on that finished? Can you read out that barcode that's on your screen dump there in front of you? I can't quite read it.
2-016608-407002.
Oops. Sorry, my test system's a bit slow today. Look at this. So we have the enhancer set up as a supplier and then it's hooked up to a branch.
Would you like to show us your screen? We can relate.
So so there's the finished product there. So this is the example that I sent you. And so the supplier is A586. And they're called RB monograms. And then they have a branch somewhere. So this one is manufacturer branch 952. So that's a TUI branch. So if I go to 952, most of them are in the 900 range. And Yeah, so this is hooked up to that supplier. So if we look at the branches, there's, I think, 951, 952. I think there's 4 of them. 953, 954 are all enhancers. Possibly 955 and 956. So by the looks of it.
Can we say that any branch within the 900 range is they are actually dummy sort of?
Doesn't look like 956s. It's only the ones that have that manufacturer out the side. I'm just wondering if there's anything else on here that you could use to identify them. Because internally in our database, we have a link between this and the supplier. But I don't know if that was given to you in any of the data migrations, the data migration for the locations.
Can you give us the list of locations with a description or supplier description? Which one? Are many of these with the that is linked to a supplier? Are there many locations in there?
Yeah, I mean, just assuming they've stuck to, so there's 1, 2, 3, and that one was for. Oh, sorry. It might be just those 4, 951 to 954.
All right. Rina, would you like to comment on this?
So, yeah, I have a question, Julie. So at all these locations, so you track inventory, right? So say, for example, you're sending 100 t-shirts to one of this location for
Yes,
doing a logo. So that means for that item at this location, you will maintain the inventory as 100, right? And once it is done,
correct.
okay.
We
Once it
write
is
it
done,
off.
okay, and
Yep.
then you will you write it off, and then the new product, the t-shirt with logo, will get sent to the store. Is that how it works?
It usually goes to it goes back to a DC.
Okay.
And then they receive it in and send it on to the stores. So
So when
they
you say
may,
they, sorry, when you say they receive it, so it's basically a transfer from this dummy location to the DC.
yes, yes.
Okay.
And then there's business process somewhere that they identify them when they get them that they need to go onto the store. Because sometimes the DC might order 100 of one type of t-shirt and then send it out to 4 or 5 different stores, or it may be just being done for one particular customer, so they just receive that and then send it back to and then forward it on to the store as a new store transfer from the DC to the store.
Okay. So this dummy locations, the only use of this dummy location is to do the enhancements, right? Nothing else.
Yes.
It won't
No,
raise any purchase order directly or
no,
anything like that. Okay.
no, no.
So from a conversion perspective, so these locations are relevant only if there are in progress transactions, right? Like you have sent something. So when we go live, just the day before or when we do the conversion, if
Yes,
there are 100 t-shirts which has been sent to this location, which is basically an in progress transfer, then yes,
yes.
that needs to be converted. I think
So those
it's
100 t-shirts will be just included automatically with our extractive stock on hand.
okay at that dummy location. Okay.
Yeah. And if there's
So,
any transfer orders in between the two parties, the DC and the enhancer, then they'll be just coming through as open transfer orders.
Okay. And you mentioned about the branch hooked up to a supplier, right? I don't think that
Yes.
information is relevant for us because we are not going to do anything with that data within Oracle Retail as well. It's
Mm.
just a dummy location, right? I mean,
Yes.
what is the reason for that branch being hooked up to a supplier? Is there any other transaction which happens in the background within TUI?
Somewhere in their business process, they're actually paying these people
Okay.
for the
Okay.
value, like,
It's like service. Yeah.
yeah, which is the
Yeah,
non-sellable part.
yeah,
They
but that's
pay them,
my
but I'm not
yeah.
sure how that actually happens.
So that's my next question. Like, is there any invoice coming for these services, or does it need to go to finance via retail, or will it go directly to finance? Yeah,
Don't
I
know.
think on the enhancement, product enhancement, yeah, we need, I mean, more than conversion, I think it needs to be understood from an end-to-end process perspective, and then how and what comes via integration to Oracle Retail, right? So when you had the discussion with integration team on the transfers and inventory adjustments, so basically all the transactions which happens in TUI today,
Yeah.
it will flow through, right? Like any other
Yes.
branch, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, which is
Yes.
good.
Yes. So,
Okay.
yeah, from your point of view, it might be, yeah, probably be more relevant about how they get paid for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm guessing somewhere along the way, someone's running some reports in Max Data Warehouse.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
What
don't.
I'll do, right? I'll drop a mail to Kylie. I'll include you as well, just to see if at all we need to do anything specific for these transactions, right? So, and how the payment is going to be handled. Is there any expectation from ORI for the payment process, etc.?
Mhm.
Yeah, and if in case it needs any further discussion, yeah, we'll ask Kylie to set it up. So basically, from a conversion perspective, what we are saying is, if as part of your inventory data, whatever is available at this location, which is in progress, we'll get it. And if
Yeah.
there are any transfers which is in progress, we are going to get that as well.
Yes.
Like any transfer orders, will that be a transfer order? Yeah, because do you know what initiates this process? Like from a branch, if they have to send hundreds t-shirt to a dummy location, uh, they just
Yeah.
create a transfer shipment, right?
We have a whole process
Okay.
whereby I'll try and bring up the screen, but it takes a wee while to come up sometimes. I'm just trying to remember the name. Right, I'll just yeah, it does take a wee while for this to come up. We have a whole process whereby the stores and other people can raise product requests with head office to say, we want you to make these school uniforms up, and someone gathers them up and puts them into a production order, because
Okay.
they need to have a minimum order of 6. They don't order them, they can make 6 of them, because otherwise it's not as viable. And then they have a process. Once they create these orders, they go through some different stages, and when they select those things to happen, that's TUI creates the transfers.
Okay. So the first initiation order that you mentioned, right? So stores will create order against who?
They create a product request, which is just sort of like a simple note to the head office to say, we'd like some of these, can you do it? And then someone looks and says, oh no, we don't want to do that, or yes, we'll take that further. So it's
Okay, got it.
yeah. So it goes through a bit of business process before they decide to do it. And
Okay, so basically because it's handled outside Oracle Retail, and then until unless you do the physical shipment, there is no impact to the inventory, right? So I don't think we need to worry about anything before the transfer shipment. Whatever process is happening, that will still continue to happen in TUI, right? So we don't have to look at any work order, anything like that at the moment.
No.
Okay.
And all these, the components, the finished good product will exist in MDM already. That should have been in your extract. And same with the components that are sellable. So there is some non-sellable components. So my screen's still hanging, sorry. So the actual logo is not a sellable component. Whether they've been included in the extract for you, whether they exist in MDM, I don't know. But it probably doesn't matter because we never hold. Oh no. Yeah, we don't hold inventory for those.
Is the polo shirt is a SKU on its own, and when you send it for enhancement, any added value to it, that value, does it track as a service? Or let's say
I'll just try another screen. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember. So if I look at logo barcode, t-shirt. So they have a dummy retail price, they have a list cost, and they're inventory type, non-sellable part.
so this is dummy store information we are looking at. Is that right?
Oh, this is the product master for the embellishment for the actual logo. So in TUI, they're a product that has an inventory type of non-sellable part. And I'm just wondering if they ever have any stock on hand. No, so they never have any stock on hand in TUI.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're not doing transfer lines for those. So from that perspective, they may not exist in MDM. Don't know.
I just need to recap this one. So when you have a polo shirt, and then when you ship it out to the dummy warehouse, that polo shirt is still a polo shirt SKU, right?
Yes.
So then that SKU gets transferred to the dummy one, is still at the polo shirt SKU. When the work is done, how do you do when the work is done, what SKU do you transfer it back to the DC or to the store? To the DC or to the store?
To the DC.
So at what SKU level do we do the transfer? Because when you receive that enhanced item, you
We
receive
do
it.
it for the finished product. So the one that I've got up there now, we're looking at the logo itself, and it's used in all these different finished products, all the different t-shirt sizes and things. So it's that SKU that it comes back at. We only see the barcode. Sorry, overwritten screen. Yeah, so that barcode, it'll come back as that SKU.
Same barcode?
It'll come back as the barcode of the finished product.
Barcode of the finished product. So when does
Yeah.
it actually get transferred into a finished product from the dummy? Because you send the the product itself into this dummy warehouse. Dummy warehouse receive it as polo t-shirt. Then then they start working on it to value add the shirt and transfer it back to DC. So at which point do we record it as a new item or with the new barcode?
So the enhancer lets the warehouse know that they've finished them, and someone at the warehouse pushes the button to create the transfer, and yeah, when I'm not sure when it gets dispatched, but when it's received into the DC, it gets turned into stock on hand for the finished product.
So
Sure, if I answered your question.
yeah, guess that means at the dummy warehouse when we look at the stock on hand, it will still be the polo t-shirt, plain polo t-shirt.
Yes, yes.
Which will be written off once the finished product is ready, right?
Yes.
Like say, for example, if a particular store is sending 100 polo t-shirt, so today I'm sending the transfer shipment from the store to the dummy location. The dummy location will have 100 now, and once the finished product is ready, this 100 will be written off. So at the dummy location, the polo t-shirt inventory will be 0, and then the DC will get the finished product as
Yes.
100, right? Okay.
Yes.
So it's at the point of transfer that the stock on hand will be written off. The plain polo t-shirt will be written off from the dummy warehouse.
Yes.
Will we ever see a case of double counting, like they forgot to write off the original item from the dummy warehouse when they ship it across?
No, because that all happens just by the production order going through its processing cycle. So TUI manages all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we record the transfer shipment, we have let's say when we do the migration, there will be goods on the way to DC from the warehouse. It's transfer shipment in that process before receiving, but after sending out, at that point in time, it's still the plain polo t-shirt. Am I right?
We built this a while ago. Don't know.
Okay.
But basically, TUI sort of does all this with transfers and dispatches just as if it was between two branches. So if we've dispatched it from the enhancers and not received it in at the DC, it'll be just like another goods in transit.
Okay.
Transfer goods in transit. Yeah. So when they're going through the cycle, the TWG use this form I've got up on top here, and this, they can change the status. At the moment, it's waiting to be fulfilled. But the turnaround is like they click that when the enhancers have said it's ready to go, and then under the hood it generates all the different transfers. Yeah. So probably from an
Oh,
ORI
Jen.
perspective, the main thing is the invoicing. Where does that come from?
Yeah.
And
So
that-
because we will need to track whether it's a new, I guess from the data migration aspect, we just take whatever items in there in that shipment as just an item. The issue will be this item will already, let's say if it is a new item number, will this new item number be created in TUI in our master item lists?
and it would have to be done before we could create transfers for it. So
Okay.
if you get the extract from MDM at the right time, it should exist.
Alright.
Because they can't create these things till they've created them as a product in TUI. They've got to create the finished product. So I don't know whether it's worthwhile us extracting the finished product and its components for you, whether you need them, because they're not a BiPAC and they're not a composite.
Do do we need that?
Sorry, I missed that, Brenda. What was the question?
Do we
Do
need the components of the finished goods, of that enhanced finished good?
I mean,
Do-
as a master data, that item record should be there in ORI, right? So from a data conversion perspective, as you said, Brenda, we'll need all these master items, the polo t-shirt and the t-shirt with logo, right? And then we'll need at that dummy location, the branch, whatever is the inventory of the unfinished product, right? And we are expecting post go live, post conversion, we'll get an inventory adjustment to write it off, and then there will be a transfer. So those will be handled in the integration. So from a conversion perspective, yes, we need these item master records and then the inventory at that branch.
But do
Because
you need the relationship between the master and its components?
when you say master and
Or
component,
like between the finished good and the components? So these,
Mhm.
they are sort of defined in the same way as the composite products. So
Oh, okay. So the finished
whether,
product has a original t-shirt and a logo, is it? Is that?
yeah. So do you need that relationship detail along with, like, when we extract it for the composites, should we extract it for the finished products as well?
So if uh so what we are showing, the first one is the
Oh, the blue line is
Mhm.
the,
Finished product.
it's just the finished product, which is the
Okay.
product we're actually looking at, and it's showing it's got two components, the plain polo shirt and the logo. But
Okay, so the logo has a cost, is it? Yeah, then okay. So just thinking, so we are going to get a transfer at the composite item level.
It's the finished goods cost a roll up from the original item plus the enhancement or the services. Or is
I mean,
it?
if it is a composite item, yes, Oracle Retail needs that as well. Yeah, it should be the finished product, and yeah, the component details is required for ORI.
we can include them, yeah.
So basically, it will be a complex pack in that case in ORI.
So we're going to treat this as a composite item.
But when these are sold, you wouldn't want to be changing the stock on hand for the components.
Okay, it's a
Oh,
sellable, yeah, it's a sellable complex pack, right? So yeah, that's my next question. So when we get a sales message from the point of sale, we'll get it at the pack level, right?
You'll get it for the finished product, but
Finished product, okay.
that's the actual item that is the stock on hand. It's no different to if they bought that polo shirt with the logo on it already from someone else. So once the production order process is finished and it's transferred it in, it just becomes like any other item that they sell and have stock on hand.
Okay. So
This-
basically, in the general ledger, like when we post the sales, it needs to go at these two levels, right? So in finance, the finance team should be able to see uh, the posting of the logo as well, right? Logo and the initial product separately.
Not from a sale perspective, that's all just done with the transfers. So they never actually sell the logo in its own right. So
Yeah,
when
but
they
in the yeah, but when we post it, they should be able to see the margin, the whatever amount needs to go to GL at these two separate items, right?
Yeah, but the original item would have been written off.
No,
The-
original item got written off at the dummy branch, right? So when we receive, say for example, in this 100 polo t-shirt, so when the store gets a finished product and when they sell the finish, say assume that the original product cost was $20, right? And now with the logo of $5, the cost becomes $25, right, for the finished product. And if it is retailing at say $40, when a sale happens for this item, when it gets posted to GL, so they should be able to uh,
No, I think the GLs all managed through the transfers and the inventory adjustments.
Yeah.
okay.
So this just looks, once the finished products are received into the DC, it's just dealt with like any other product in the DC.
It's a SKU on its own.
It's a SKU on its own, and from that point on, it can be transferred and sold, just as if we'd bought it in all made up.
Okay.
So do we do any roll up for cost before we do the transfer?
Yes, this works out what the actual cost is. So the cost is the sum of the components, and that becomes the list cost of the finished goods. So we've worked that out, and when we receive it in, we receive it in at that cost.
Okay, so if I look at the item, like say when you extract the items from Mentui, you will have a cost component for the new SKU, for the new item,
Yes.
and there will be a cost attached to this.
Yes.
Right. So do we actually need that roll-up? Do we actually need the old SKU because that item does not exist anymore? And the services, the value add services is already what we call that already in the new SKU itself. Do we actually need it?
Still thinking, Brenda. So it's based on what is required
Sorry,
for
I
the.
think I've got another meeting to go to.
Yeah, what I'll do,
did we
right?
book this for?
Yeah, sorry. I'll drop a mail anyways to Kylie
Yeah.
and Brendan on this, and then yeah, I'll CC you, Julie and Brenda.
Yep, and I really need to understand how bypacks are going to work in Oracle, and thinking about because we receipt in at component level at the store. So that's an outstanding thing. I've got to work out how to do that with our receipt integration,
Okay.
because we explode when receipting the purchase order. So yes, and I'm being hunted down for my next meeting. So yeah, if we're going to have some discussions with Kylie and Brendan, can we also cover that?
Right. Can we continue on this? Julie, you are the key player here at the moment. So shall we move to another date in
Yes,
tomorrow
please.
day's time?
Yep.
Will tomorrow
Uh,
be okay?
I'll just have a look at my diary. I'm quite full up tomorrow. Maybe Wednesday afternoon after 2:30.
Wednesday after 2:30. Okay. I'll try and
Yeah.
set it up. Right. Thanks, today. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
everybody. Thank
Bye.
you. Cheers. Bye. Thanks.